Yeah, look, I mean, by the way, Styx has been a great supporter of BitChute too. I saw he retweeted this show, this interview and stuff. But I see Gypsy Hunter in the regular chat says, you can learn all of this in one morning. Yes, look, I can absolutely set up FFmpeg, but it's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass of these things. It's like, okay, well, I can just turn on Windows and start the stream. Yes, I am aware I wouldn't be able to do it without the step-by-step guide, to be honest with you. But yes, I know that I can set it up. But I have this wizard here, Gator. So, all right, let me.
He's gonna have me go to my PC to get out of
it. All right, let me read number 2 from the producer. He says, "How is growth going for the site? Where is it coming from, and how to expect that to continue? How do you expect that to continue for 2020?"
Yeah, it's been really huge. If you look online, you can see like there's a few sites that show how our growth is going. I think one is SimilarWeb and another one's Alexa, and you can see that the end of last year we had something like 14 million unique visitors to the site in the month, and that was up like 35% from the month before. So it probably won't continue going quite at that pace, but it's definitely trending up. I mean, that's a huge number of visitors. We're getting something like on a typical day, about 600,000 unique people visiting the site a day.
All right. Now, this is a question that Josh kind of asked as well, but I'm going to roll it into kind of combine the questions. Will your website ever become open source to any degree? And Josh from Kiwi Farms actually kind of asked about this. What is the license? He says basically I'll read what he said verbatim. He says, if I can't clone that into a live.kiwifarms.net, I can't put money to it or ask others to do so with their money. What is the nature of the license as far as live streaming goes?
Right.
Yeah.
So the live streaming, we're going to do open source and completely available from day one. The main site, we need to rewrite it to a certain degree to make it decentralized. So we're going to come out with a new version that will then be open source, and then we'll discard the old version once we migrate everyone to it. But the old version started as a prototype and sort of then grew and grew and grew, and it wouldn't make sense to open source that now because it would just be, it's a better way to do it, to just move on to the new thing and discard the old thing.
Fair enough. And by the way, I see chat liking your answer there. Now there's more questions. Let's see. What are the prospects of BitChute live? Now, we talked about live streaming already, but I see this. This is a different wrinkle in the question, though. And we talked about Entropy yesterday. They're launching live streaming as well. Would you consider working with other people, or is it going to be a BitChute type exclusive thing? Which, I mean, I would understand either way, but I think that is a fair question.
Yeah, well, it's decentralized, so it's going to be there for everyone to use, and they can do whatever they want with it. It's open source. But yeah, I have reached out to the Entropy people. I need to get in contact with them. They reached out to me, and we've just been missing each other recently. But I've got their Skype details and need to have a call with them and see if there is something we could do. No, so I'm open to that.
Now, this is something that you kind of alluded to earlier, that the crowdfunding thing you set up was through Ethereum, I believe, cryptocurrency, and, you know, some people are just not going to, a lot of people actually are not going to fuck with that. And so this person asked, would you be okay if people set up, I don't think he would be okay with this, but I'll ask the question anyway. If they set up GoFundMes on your behalf, I think that's probably a no-go, but I'll let you
I think so. I'll tell you, we set up an Indiegogo to fund an open source commenting system, and we set it up like really neutral to say this could be used by any site, charities, anything can use it, and they still shut us down. So GoFundMe, I think they're part of Indiegogo, so I think we're already banned. They're sort of affiliated somehow, so I think we're already banned from there.
All right. Now, there's a few more questions from Josh. He owns Kiwi Farms. He said, this is rude, but I'll ask it anyway. Why should anyone trust an Englishman? That was his question there.
That's a good point. Technically, I'm an Irishman. That's where my family's from. So, yeah, I've got an English accent because I grew up in England.
Now, but I guess the more substantial part of that question is, and more specifically, why should anyone trust a company based out of the UK? And I don't know your LLC and where it's registered or whatever, but he might know more than me. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is based out of the UK, and we have to watch that. But for the moment, we were really worried about the European laws that are coming in, the copyright directive, because that's going to really mess up any company that's based in Europe. But because of Brexit, we don't have to worry about that anymore. The UK has already said they're not going to use any of those laws. For the most part, the UK is not too bad on the legal side of how a company is regulated. But we need to watch it.
Have you ever worried about that though?
Well, I'm constantly worried about it, and if it came down to it, we would just move. And because we've got no venture capitalists or any corporate big money or anything like that, we can just move. It's just us.
Now I hear. Sorry, go ahead.
We could be I've actually got a Delaware LLC on my shelf over there. So, that would be one option. Yeah, just in case.
That's actually brilliant. I mean, that's where all the pretty much every worldwide company or somebody trying to escape the long arm of the bullshit regulatory service goes to Delaware. Yeah, so that is key.
But there's things going on in the US as well, so I'm also worried about the US. It might not even be the best option when it comes down to it. We might end up. There might be like another option, like Switzerland or somewhere else. But everywhere's got problems, and we're constantly looking at this and thinking, yeah, the UK isn't that bad at the moment. We'll see.
But it is. It is kind of like, and I alluded to this earlier when people in the chat were like, "Oh, Ralph, Believe me, I'm very well aware of every possibility to stream this fucking program to you every night because my life, I'll live one way or the other, but my livelihood depends on it. So yes, I'm very well aware of Entropy and BitChute and DLive and crawling back on YouTube or all that. Yes, there's nothing you've thought of that I haven't thought of, believe me. And there's a reason for that because, that's my job. Mega Meme says, Ralph, encode archive video with stacks rip H.65. I'll get right on that. Thank you, sir. Studio IKN says, can Adobe Media Encoder do the job? I wouldn't know, probably, though. Zweeble says, get a Raspberry Pi. Yes, I'll get right on that. Rage Player says, just make the vids play in full screen, Ralph. I'll fix that, definitely. Now, I'm looking through, I think that we've asked you most of the key questions, but before I take callers and then we wrap up, Frederick Brennan, who used to go by the name of Hot Wheels, who actually founded 8chan. I think it's 8kun now, 8kun.top, 8kun.top. He had some criticisms of your service, that it wasn't really peer-to-peer. He came on this program. He debated with Black Pigeon Speaks. What do you have to say to the things that he was saying?
Yeah, I was really surprised to get an attack from him, actually, because we get them already from the Daily Dot that he wrote for and other places, but it was a bit disappointing. But he sent us an email, and we were quite straightforward with him. We were saying we're migrating to peer-to-peer at the moment, and I even on Twitter sent him here's a link, you can test out the new peer-to-peer. But he seemed to have a bit of an agenda, I would say, because he totally misrepresented us in the article. Worse than that was dragging the other guys into it, Black Pigeon Speaks and Dave Cullen, Computing Forever. I thought that was completely unnecessary, to be honest. But I don't know. I'm not sure why he was doing that, to be honest. But one of the things in the email he wrote to us, he asked, So one of the things we explained in the email, that we're a really small company, that we're community funded, and that's why we haven't done all the things yet. We haven't fully decentralized yet, and we've never claimed to be fully decentralized, by the way. I told him that as well, even though they put that as the title. Yeah, one of the things we said was that we are community funded, and that's why our growth, our changes are a bit slower than a venture capital funded company. And then he wrote it up as they're blaming their community for not giving them enough money. And I didn't mean it like that. It was crazy how he twisted the words.
Now again, I was the moderator on that, so I have to keep my powder dry, and I can't weigh in with my personal thoughts on the issue. But I just wanted to give you a chance. But yeah, to respond,
if you go to a video, like you go to, we're still like we haven't done it throughout the whole site, but you can click on the videos. There's a little radar dish, and then you bring up the peer-to-peer, and you can switch it on or off, and then you can see like the stats, how much is coming in from the servers, how much is coming in from another node on another peer-to-peer node. So we've got that on the site, and yeah, it was just a really strange thing. But I reckon I'd probably like Fred if I got to speak to him, because I heard him on the show, and I thought
Fred looks like he likes to party. Have you seen some old pictures of Fred? Like, I think I could get down with him too. Maybe he needs to come to Road Rage LA on March 28th. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to like attack the guy, because I think he's like had a really hard life, hasn't he? So you got to think maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't do this because I'm on probation, but people could snort a line off his wheelchair or something. I wouldn't do that. I disavow any type of behavior like that, of course. But I'm just saying, who knows? The guy looks like he knows how to party. So we'll see. You know what? Now I want him to come. Now I want him to come to Road Rage. Let's get him to Road Rage. Come on, you're in the Philippines. What the fuck's going on there? Get your ass to LA on March 28th. Josh, aforementioned Josh that we talked about in the show, he's talking about maybe coming to Road Rage too. Man, we got to make this happen, Ray. Come on. Don't you think he would lighten up a little bit if he came out there and got some LA titty in his face or something like that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Although thinking about it, if he's in the Philippines, he probably doesn't need it. He's probably got enough titty in his face.
Speaking from experience, there it sounds like. Now, I've never personally been to the Philippines, but I can imagine it gets pretty hairy there. All right, well, maybe literally. I'm not sure. All right, let's. Excuse me. I need to bring.
We don't judge. We don't judge.
I need to bring it back to decorum here and to host decorum. Sorry. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, I get carried away sometimes. I apologize to the guests as well. All right, let's take a caller. Cassius, you're on the Killstream. Go ahead.
Hi. So Section 127 of the Communications Act has got grossly offensive stuff would be prosecuted. And as you know, people have been prosecuted for Twitter posts. How do you get away with this in the UK?
So you sound like you're from the UK, so you don't you don't get away with it. If you post something to YouTube or to BitChute or to anywhere else, and it's determined that it's grossly offensive, then you can be pulled up for that. But in the UK, we are exempt from that in the same way that Article 230 exempts companies in the US. There's similar laws in the UK for companies, so we can be a company and not be responsible for.
So explain that to people. So that there's a term for it. I want to say common provider, but basically, it's a communications. Yeah. It's the same way Twitter. It's the same way Facebook.
It's a communication service provider. Yeah. So that's what we are. And if you say what they determine would be hate speech, then we are not liable for that.
Okay. That's cool. Just one more, if you don't mind. You probably don't know if you'd answer this, but I was wondering, how much does it actually cost monthly to run BitChute?
Well,
oh, right. So we put up on our Help Us Grow page that we're aiming to get 30,000 a month, and that's to hire everyone we think we need. And right now we're at about 17,000 a month for that.
Okay, but would you accept the rest in Bitcoin?
Oh, we accept Bitcoin already. Yeah, we take Bitcoin. We take
well, I
everything.
saw that,
We take
but on
everything.
the live, yeah, but on the live stream thing, it didn't have Bitcoin; it was Ethereum, so I didn't donate.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So we were just, because we wanted to build the whole live thing as a decentralized platform from day one and use Ethereum. Then we thought, right, let's do the donations in Ethereum.
Is the reason
as well.
you picked Ethereum because of the fluctuation of it? It's a more steady. Again, I don't study cryptocurrency, so I can't tell you. I did buy Bitcoin back in the day. Literally, I remember buying Bitcoin at like $2.50. $2.50. But I was buying weed with all my Bitcoin, so I didn't save any. So
it's not really to do with that. It's because it's a technical thing. Ethereum allows you to write smart contracts. Yeah, so Bitcoin, I think they're bringing this in, but it's not really designed for that. Whereas Ethereum, you can do lots more stuff with it. So that was the reason we chose Ethereum.
Yeah, but I'd have to translate it, exchange it into Ethereum to give it you, and it's a right pain in the ass.
So if you just want to give it to us on the Help Us Grow page, we've got our Bitcoin address up there. That would be really appreciated.
All right, I'll send some over.
Very good.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Kaz. I appreciate it. All right, let's take another caller. Shekels, you're on the air on the Killstream. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm sorry. I forgot your name. Anyway, the BitChute owner.
Vahey, he owns BitChute. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I had a bunch of questions I wanted to ask. You pretty much answered the majority of them. My question, though, has to do with the uploading of videos to your site. I know you guys downgrade it. I think everyone does know that. Do you guys have like a specific settings that we can convert the video in our editing programs so that we can, so that they can process quicker on your site? Like, is there something we can do to make that process quicker at all?
Yeah. So if you shrink down the size, so you're not uploading like 10 gigabyte files, that would be appreciated. And if you make it H.264, that's probably the best.
Okay. Any bit rates specifically?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, but
okay.
Yeah, but we're bringing on the community manager on the 1st of March, and we're going to make a knowledge-based website, so all that sort of information can go in there.
I would definitely say keep it below 2 gigabytes if you can, and it's more likely to work.
Okay, that helps a lot, because I was looking for like some sort of knowledge base or FAQ with that information, and I did not see that on your site. I even tried Googling it, and even looking on YouTube for anyone that has, the correct settings, and that's not available anywhere, which like it's
if you want an answer now, then you could probably do the same as YouTube recommend, because it will be the same in bitrate.
Gotcha.
Very good, sir.
Thank you very much, and I'm really thankful for you coming on the Killstream, and Ralph, great show. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, man. This is a little more. I won't necessarily call it big brained, but this is a little more in depth than we've done, at least recently, the last few weeks. And I really think I love BitChute. So I've said that publicly. Yeah, I mean, look, there is an issue or two here or there as far as uploading stuff goes, but there's really no other platform that allows for those type of huge uploads, I guess, besides DLive. And, we broadcast live here on DLive every night. I think BitChute is pretty much invaluable in this landscape, and I want to see it succeed. I want to see it not just succeed, but thrive. That's what I want. And the reason I asked Mr. Vahey here on the show, was to kind of promote BitChute, also let people ask their questions and get, criticisms or whatever things they might have as far as the BitChute service goes, let it get out there. You don't have the head of YouTube on here answering questions like that, though. You don't have the head of Daily Motion or all these other sites on here, answering questions like that. And, I think, a hat can be tipped just for you being here, as the caller mentioned. So, all right, let's take another caller. Speaking of callers, Sedan, you're on the Killstream. Go ahead.
All right, bear with me. I'm a little sick, but I just wanted to hit you with the JQ, the gym question. I seem to recall that he did a certain video about making sausages that the BitChute Twitter account responded to. Was that you?
It responded to in what way?
Saying that like no one should watch this video.
Oh
And
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of funny.
Now the sausage video you're talking about. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't watch the video because I already had been tipped off, and I'd seen this footage before in the first place. Basically showing how do we describe this gator in a politically correct way? I guess transgender transition surgeries or what have you. Is that what you're speaking of, sir?
Me, yeah, exactly. I didn't quite make it through that video either.
I didn't make it through all the way either, but I did.
I
do know the one you're
up.
talking
I'm gonna
about.
be real. No offense, I love Medicare. Obviously, people have actually made jokes and memes about how much I suck him off here on the show, but I did not watch that video. Period. Because I actually yeah.
I saw you initially drop that video, and I pulled it up. I didn't know what it was about, right? I just pulled it up, and I had it going on my 65-inch TV, and I was like, nope, not going to watch that.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I understand what he was doing there, but yeah, I'm good.
The other thing that Jim said he was going to do was that he wanted to do like a Deviants After Dark and go over all the crazy fan art and stuff that people draw, and just go hog wild with it and show all the explicit images and stuff. Now I know that he said there's a no porn policy. Would that just not fly on BitChute?
Oh, so like I said, it's not a moral objection to porn, and we've been thinking about like, do we need some sort of like exceptions to this, more exceptions for things that are, I don't know, like making a free speech point, but are porn, and maybe we do. So we'll have to have a think about that. Because you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
If something,
it's a business decision.
We just don't want like masses and masses of porn, and we especially don't want child porn. But if things are making a free speech point, then I think we could make it. And let's do that. Let's make it fly from that perspective.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. Like, I mean, and especially that video and those type of topics. I mean, these are the things that are actually happening. These are medical procedures versus, I want to show some Latina maid getting pounded up the ass or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, those are two different things. But once you dabble into that area, then you have to start making policy, and it's a different type of animal. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. I'm interpreting, but it is more difficult. And then you've got all the copyright claims that will come in because people will upload lots of stuff that they don't own, and all these sites will claim it. And you've also got the child porn angle as well. You have to sort of have people checking very carefully to make sure that the girl or the boy isn't underage, that sort of thing. And there's lots of complications that we don't want to get involved in because it would be a huge overhead. Well, it's a whole different box of worms, whatever. Bottle of fish, barrel of fish, whatever the fuck. All right, thank you, caller. I appreciate you calling in.
All right, yeah, thanks for answering the question.
Thank you as well for calling in. Randbot, go ahead. Rand, are you?
Rand.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry, it's always a bit like that when it's on the mobile. How you doing, everybody?
I'm doing great. Everybody else is doing fucking fantastic. What's your question?
Oh, well, well, first of all, I wanted to address, why am I banned?
You're not. That's what I don't understand.
But I must be. I have to be.
Look, you helped co-host like what 2 or 3 shows this week, and you're in the chat. Like, I really don't understand where that's coming from, but whatever. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, So a lot of a good chunk of what my original question was going to be, which I borrowed off someone else who said they might not be able to call in today, was addressed. But so specifically when streaming starts, there's going to be spicy content. Because I remember the old days of DLive and that sort of thing. So it's all like 24-hour streams that just repeat Oswald Mosley's best hits and that sort of thing.
You mean your own streams?
And,
That's what you're talking about? Yeah.
Well, no, mine has the dancing letters. That's a different issue.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this guy's point was because you're based in England, and you were talking about the various legal protections and obligations that you have there, and considering moving to other places. But when the streaming starts, there's going to be a lot of that sort of thing. And so how do you expect to? What are your expectations in terms of pressure you're going to receive to regulate that type of thing? Because as we know, that there's not just the written law. England's very much demonstrated that it will bend, stretch, or outright ignore its own rules to get people who they want to get.
Yeah, so like there's the whole Count Dankula thing in Scotland. I guess you talked about that.
We have.
I thought that was really, really unfair. But as a company, we're not. So we do have exemptions to this. So we are able in the UK to compete with the US on these sorts of on the same sort of regulation as it currently stands. But you're right. I think I pretty much answered this. If it came down to it, and we had to move, we would. If we thought we couldn't operate in the UK, I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, it's partly answered. I'd also would you? Now it seems like you wouldn't, because you refuse to compromise on InfoWars, and bravo to you, and very much boo to certain other organisations who bent the knee on that one, not naming any names, not present on any platforms, not naming any names. But would you? I mean, you already addressed the porn thing, but do you foresee yourself finding certain things outside the pale? Like let's take an extreme example, like somebody. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Can I say what we're building is a fully decentralized streaming service. So what this means is that we won't be able to shut stuff down because we won't be in control of it. Everything will
so
go.
No moderation whatsoever.
Well, no, that's not the same thing. So and like this is a whole topic in itself, but what I think the problem with moderation is not that you have some moderation, because I think some moderation is good. You couldn't let a site just fill up with loads of spam; it would be unusable, right? So you have to remove.
Which you would immediately if you didn't. Yeah.
But what I think the problem is that there's no competition in moderation. So all these sites like Twitter, Facebook, everything, they have one size fits all. So part of this design is to introduce competition in moderation so that everything that exists is out there in the same way that it is in the BitTorrent world, but you can display subsets, and then you can have other people choosing to display different subsets. So we will do what we need to do to stay within the law, but we will design the system so that other people will be able to moderate in a way that they see fit, and the viewers will be able to choose which one they prefer.
Okay, so for example, if someone were to stream porn, it just wouldn't show up on your front end.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that pretty much addresses that one. I'm very glad to hear that. That sounds like a great direction for you to go in.
All right, Rand, you got anything else?
I do. Now, Jay, you don't need to don't need to give an affirmative yes or no or anything to this. And you may decide not to. But as you said, you're expanding your number of employees. I would just recommend that. Now, you did mention that you're a libertarian, which I was initially disappointed to hear. Like, oh god, a libertarian. But then I perked up because I realised that that means that BitChute is the single most useful thing ever created by libertarians, by fiat of being the only useful thing that's ever been created by libertarians. But my advice for you when you're expanding your employee base, I would say don't hire a leftist. or a homosexual or a Jew, regardless of what they tell you that their personal politics are,
Rand,
because they will subvert you from within.
thank you, Rand. I appreciate you calling in. Have a good one, sir.
I'm just saying. All right, have a good one.
I know you are.
I think we've got our HR manager there.
Yeah, we'll let Rand just let that ruminate on his own.
Let that stew.
Yeah, I disavow. But Zyclown says, "Oi, bruv, does he have a license for that?" Shouting at Cloud says, "Can we have recorded content of indie creators?" I mean, I think that's the backbone of the site now, right? Recorded content from indie creators. I don't feel like that's banned, right?
You're an indie creator, aren't you?
Yeah, I would consider myself an indie creator, yes. And many other people, Styx. We talked about Styx earlier. He's been a huge supporter. Black Pigeon Speaks has been on this show. He's been a huge supporter. I've done anything I can to support the site myself. Now it's a little different because, most of my created content are live streams, and so, it's archives mostly on my channel. But I think BitChute, as I repeated earlier, pretty much invaluable, especially in this media landscape. So yeah, I love BitChute. So, Shouting at Cloud says, treat porn star like bank account for verification. I really don't know that either, but we'll just let that ruminate as well. There's also these. Let's see. There's also these. Mexi Man and Cheese says, what do you guys think of Floatplane? It's a video hosting service ran by Linus from Linus Tech Tips. He said it's in response to Chinese censorship and the like. I haven't heard many people outside the tech sphere talking about it. I will just go on record and be honest with you. I know nothing about it. I don't know if Ray knows anything about it, but
I think I've heard the name, but I haven't looked at it at all. Sorry.
Yeah, I really can't. I can't give you anything more than that. I don't know about it. Sounds intriguing, but that's all I can say. Let's see. Filler name. You're on the Killstream. Go ahead. Oh well, we tried, Gator.
Villa.
We tried, Gator. By the way, I think Bibble died during the middle of the stream, so rest in peace.
Bibble returned to his own planet.
Press F for Bibble. I was about to say press S. We should never do that. Don't press S. Press F.
Don't add him. Don't add Bibble.
Don't add him either. Cook of Doom, you're on the Killstream. Go ahead.
Scotland forever.
Thank you.
Trust me, guys.
Is that really?
If there's anyone that can pull it, no, I've got a couple of things.
Okay.
If there's anyone that can pull this off, it's Ray. Trust me, the thrift of a Scotsman is legendary. He can pull this off. Last thing, how much money do you require per month to begin the process of transitioning into the decentralized state? Is it 30,000, 50,000, 100,000? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so we're asking for 30,000. We're going to try and do it whatever we get, but we're asking for 30,000, and that would really allow us to nail down some dates if we could get to that level. But we're doing it anyway, and the live streaming is a good way to start, because what we learn from that we can feed back into the on-demand video, which is even more complicated, in fact, because we've got so many more features on that side.
Alrighty, well, you've earned a donor in me.
Oh, thank you.
There we go. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate you calling in, and I will summarily dismiss you. There is one more caller, though. Let's bring him in. Ray is sitting here taking all comers. I was kind of surprised that Frederick Brennan didn't call in. By the way, I didn't ban him. I didn't say anything. I didn't message him either and say, hey, this might be something you want to get in on. I just, I kind of thought he might call in, but he just didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
He's not banned from BitChute either. If he wants to set up an account there, he's welcome, and we'll promote it as well.
Yeah, I kind of thought he might, but he didn't so far. Unless he calls in right at the last moment. If he's listening, call in. I mean, I kind of thought you might, but you didn't. Dank Chum, you weren't the actual last caller, but the last caller vacated, so now you're the last caller. Go ahead.
Oh, awesome. Thanks. I was just going to ask if there was going to be a way to turn off video on BitChute.
What,
like to still have the audio.
Okay, I thought you were taking the piss for a minute.
I did too at first, but honestly, I mean that's
No, I mean,
that's kind of not a bad question,
low...
especially if you have like bandwidth limits and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And for our show, I think most of our shows you can listen to just audio. Shout out to the podcast gang. There might be a show here or there where you really want the video, but usually you can listen to it on audio. So I mean, I kind of understand what he's saying. Is that why you're saying that? Is that the type of thing you're talking about?
Yeah, I just want something that's lightweight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a recent change, we've introduced and we're extending the amount of channels that have got it as we can. But some channels have got like 240p. So would that be small enough for you? Or maybe we could have an audio only option as well. Yeah, so we've got that now.
I use Nvidius for most YouTube mirrors, and I really like the fact that you can just turn off the video and have it only audio, and I was hoping you could do something.
I think we can, because on the new way we're doing it, we've got the audio track separate, so we could probably add that. That's probably a good idea.